Hello, everyone. Welcome. Have a seat. Lots of spots up at the front if you guys want to move, especially if you are on Shopify. This is going to be especially valuable information for you. So if you want to move up a little closer, I see some spaces here. Grab some chairs. Let's get cozy. Come on in. Cool. Awesome. Cool. Thank you all so much for joining me for this. Thank you, Abby, wherever you went, for the lovely introduction. As she was saying, we did meet when I was on tour last fall with Shopify. Our tour is called Shop Class. Let me start by introducing myself, I guess. So I work for Shopify, obviously. I currently manage their merchant education program. So basically what my team does is that we create content for events like our Shop Class tour, where I met Abby. So we go on tour once a year to help educate our merchants and teach them how to grow their businesses on Shopify. I also manage content that you'd see on Shopify Academy. So any of you who are Shopify merchants and who sell on Shopify, you may have seen Shopify Academy. It's basically an online course platform that we've recently added to our offerings. And my team creates all of the content that you'd see on there. We also run product-focused webinars on a weekly basis. So basically, any medium that you can consume content through that teaches you how to grow a business and or learn how to actually use the platform, my team creates all of that stuff. So we do a lot of things. I have the pleasure of traveling a lot to conferences to give talks like this one, so I'm super, super grateful to be here. We are talking today about marketing your e-commerce business. So as Abby mentioned, this presentation is going to be relevant for you whether or not you sell on Shopify. And before I get started, I actually want to poll you guys. So how many of you are already selling on Shopify? Show of hands. Oh, that's amazing. That's a lot of women. All right. How many of you are selling online on a different platform? All right, I'll have you converted to Shopify by the end of this. How many of you are not yet selling online, who may have a brick and mortar store or some other type of business and are looking to supplement through online? Okay, cool. So this is going to be lots of valuable information. We are kind of focusing on customer acquisition strategies as well as retention. It's going to be broad enough that you can take something from it whether or not you sell on Shopify, but especially relevant if you have an online store already. Okay, so if I can get my slide deck up, wherever it is. Okay, cool. All right, so quick agenda before we get started. I kind of already mentioned this, but some of the things we're going to focus on, we're going to talk about the marketing funnel. So you may already be pretty familiar with this, but from an e-commerce perspective, it's important to talk about it to kind of set the stage for what we're going to talk about. We'll also talk about how to acquire new customers and how to retain your existing ones. Okay. So the marketing funnel, you may already be pretty familiar with this, but the marketing funnel is basically just a visual representation of the stages that your customers go through from being a prospect and knowing nothing about your brand to actually completing their purchase. Okay? So it looks a little something like this. At the very top of the funnel, we have our awareness stage. So at this point, your prospects, they know nothing about your brand. They don't know who you are. Your goal here during this stage is just to get the word out about your brand and why you, as your brand, matter. During the next stage, consideration. So at this point, your potential buyers know who you are, they know about your brand and your value, but they're not yet ready to actually make the purchase. So this is when you start to give them information about your product and how your product helps to solve a particular problem that they may be having. The middle stage there is the conversion stage. So this is obviously the thing that we want them to do. We want them to actually complete their purchase. And then at the very bottom of the funnel, we've got loyalty and advocacy stages. So kind of similar in nature, but basically at this point, your customers keep coming back for more. They're buying your products on a regular basis. They are loyal customers of yours. And they're also starting to tell their friends and family about your products and who you are. So hopefully that generates more leads into the top of the funnel. And then this cycle really never ends. It's just about getting more leads into the awareness stage and then guiding them down the funnel. All right. So how many of you started businesses because you want to make money? Right? Financial independence, that's what we all want. A lot of businesses' main goal is to convert their customers. That's what we want them to do. We want them to buy from us. So it's really common to see businesses focus so much on that conversion piece, that middle of the funnel, that they actually forget the first and last stages of that funnel, right? They forget all about the awareness, they forget all about their retaining their existing customers, and all they focus on is their conversion rate. So we'll talk a little bit about how you can use different strategies to acquire new customers at the top of your funnel and keep your existing customers coming back for more, and that will naturally over time help you to grow your conversion rate. So one thing that is important to note here is the funnel is not universal, okay? The customers are not just gonna magically go through these stages very neatly. That's just not the way it works. The funnel is highly dependent on the products that you sell. So if you sell, high impulse purchases like phone cases, for example, you may be able to convert a customer within one session, right? They land on your website, they know what they want, they buy it. But if you sell higher ticket items, something that's a little more expensive, for example, it may take more time for you to convince those customers why they need to buy from you. So this entire process is highly dependent on what you sell. Alrighty. So how do we acquire new customers? I'm sure you've all heard this saying, content is king. It is so, so true. Content is the most important thing for your business growth, hands down. The absolute best tactic for acquiring new customers as a startup is through the power of content marketing. Your content, whether that's through paid ads or social media or email marketing, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be the first thing that your user sees and is going to be forming the first impression that they have about your brand. So it's really important to tap into your audience interests and make sure that you're speaking to them in the way that they want to be spoken to. This requires you to develop a really deep understanding of your buyers. So once you have that deep understanding and you know exactly how to speak to your customers, you need to communicate what you do better than everyone else through content marketing, okay? So that's your value proposition, the thing that separates you from your competition, whether that's your price point, your material quality, your product design, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's customer service. Whatever you think you do better than anyone else, you need to distill that into one sentence and make that highly visible throughout your entire website. Super important. You want to ensure that this is the thing that grabs your users' attention first, because it's what's going to help them form an opinion about your brand and hopefully guide them towards a conversion. So let's talk about some common strategies that are best for engaging users at every stage of the acquisition part of the funnel, so the first 3 parts of our funnel. All right, so during the awareness stage, the only thing you want to do is maximize clicks to your website, okay? That's the sole purpose of this stage, is to maximize clicks to your website. The content needs to have a broad enough appeal to make it valuable to anyone, but still relate back to the category that your product lives in. Okay, so as an example, if you sell lighting fixtures, you can see up on this slide deck, if you sold lighting fixtures, you may want to write a blog post that talks about lighting tips to make your small space seem larger. Right, it's broad enough that it has a mass appeal to anyone, but it relates back to your product. And what you can do is in that blog post include what looks like an ad to your users to help them, to guide them back towards a product that fits within this category. So a light fixture that would work in their small space, right? Okay. During the consideration stage, at this point, the content you promote has to actually tie back into your product's value proposition. So you may not be going for the hard sale at this point, but what you want to start doing is start talking about the solution that your product helps them with a certain issue. So we know that if they're coming back to your content and they're considering your product, it's because they know they have a problem that they're looking to solve. So you need to start talking about how your particular product helps them solve that problem. At this point, it's a really great time to offer an incentive for them to purchase. So you may want to consider offering them a small discount code or a coupon for a free gift, as an example, just to entice those prospects into actually completing their purchase. And then the last stage is obviously our purchase. So at this stage, we just want to get really, really direct with what it is that we're trying to have our customers do. We want them to buy, so we need to be really direct with that. Technical sales material, how the product actually works, videos showing how the product works. These are all really handy to actually have your customers complete their purchase at this stage. Retargeting is also a really great way of getting your users to come back to the page if they didn't actually complete their purchase the first time around. So even though they come with the intent to buy, they may abandon cart, which I'll talk about in a bit. So remarketing is a really great tool to help guide those people who were interested in buying back to the product page so that they can actually complete their purchase. Okay, so now that we know the type of content that we need to create for every stage of the funnel, let's talk about how you can actually reach those customers with content marketing. Okay, so there's 3 things that we want to do that will help you reach your customers with the messaging that we've just figured out. Blogging, paid ads in social media, and email marketing. So these are the 3 ways that you can reach your customers through content marketing. All right, let's start with blogging. So blogging is awesome because it helps you stand out from the crowd and helps you seem like an expert in your field, right? The best part about blogging is that it allows your customers to see the value of what it is that you provide, right? You are an expert in a certain domain and you are conveying that information to your customers. It's also really great at improving your search rankings, your SEO. Okay, you can include keywords in your blog posts that will help you rank higher on Google when people are searching for those keywords. And it's a really effective way of getting more people to your site through those articles that you post. One thing to keep in mind, the blog posts need to be relevant to your business, obviously, but that example that I gave earlier with those lighting tips, that's a really, really great example to use. If you provide your customers or your potential customers information that is broad enough to get them in the door, and then you collect their email address at some point so you can continue marketing to them down the road, it's a really great way of nurturing those relationships and guiding them down the funnel towards the conversion. Okay, so Facebook and Instagram, I mean, everyone knows about Facebook and Instagram. I'm sure most of you are already using the platform for either advertising, so paid ads, or just general interactions with your audience and fostering those relationships. The real strength about these 2 platforms is in their targeting ability. They obviously have like an insane amount of data, right, about your customers. And so the key and the trick to really effectively using Facebook and Instagram is actually making use of that data that you have access to. So when you're advertising, you can research your audience and find out what types of pages they follow, who they follow on social media, and then you're able to create ads that target additional people that also follow those existing brands. You can also create what's called a lookalike audience. So those of you who are advertising already on Facebook probably know about this already, but basically a larger audience of people that is similar to your existing set of customers. Okay, so it takes the data out of your e-commerce store, no matter where you're doing this, but if you're on Shopify, you can upload a CSV from Shopify into your marketing section, which I'll talk about in a second, and it allows you to market to people who are similar to your existing customers, which is really powerful. Quickly, a little bit more detail about Facebook. So Facebook obviously has a massive audience. It's insane. They have 1.47 billion daily active users. The amount of people that are spending that much time on Facebook is totally mind-boggling. More and more shoppers these days are looking to take advantage of buying on social media sites. It's becoming more and more common. You can take advantage of this sales network by enabling the Facebook sales channel if you don't yet have it enabled. What this does is it creates a shop section on your Facebook for Business page, allowing your customers to view products that you have for sale, as well as complete their checkout from within the Facebook environment. It's really great at converting because people generally don't want to click out on things. Okay, they want to complete their purchase, especially if it's an impulse buy. They want to just be able to buy the thing right away. The less steps you have, the more likely your customers are to convert. And then Instagram sees over 500 million daily active users, so obviously also a really big audience. You can also use the Instagram sales channel to promote your products. If you know that the bulk of your customer base is spending a lot of time on Instagram, and most of us are, it's a really great avenue for you to explore because it has a massive audience. You need to have the Facebook sales channel enabled in order to also add the Instagram sales channel. So you need to use both if you want to take advantage of Instagram. But the Instagram sales channel allows you to tag your product posts with your product, just the same way that you would tag a user, an Instagram user. And then as a user, I'm able to tap that photo and see the price and the product name of the thing that I'm looking at, and I'm able to complete my purchase from within Instagram, which is really powerful. Again, you're removing the steps that are required to help me convert. So I'm really highly likely to just complete my purchase because you've made it really easy for me. I'm not going to talk too much about Google Ads because I feel like I could talk about Google for like hours and hours and hours. But a couple things to note on Google. The network is divided into two types of ads. There's the search network and the display network. Basically, the search network is your Google search results pages. That includes Google Maps and Google Shopping pages, but I'm sure you've all experienced this. You search for a keyword in Google, and then you'll see those AdWords that are up at the top with an ad underneath it. Those are where your ads appear if you decide to advertise on the Google search network. The display network is sort of this broader third-party audience of sites, including YouTube, Blogger, Gmail, and a whole wealth of third-party websites that are affiliated to Google. And the really beautiful thing about the Google Display Network, if you choose to explore it, is that you can use it as a testing ground for your advertising strategies. Because it has such a massive audience of different types of users, if you can get savvy about the way that you're targeting different types of audiences and then use that data to help inform future ad campaigns that you do, that's really the amazing thing about the Google Display Network. I'm happy to talk about this in more detail. If any of you have questions, just come and see me at some point. Catch me and I'll give you more information. Okay, so we recently introduced a marketing section in the Shopify admin, which is so amazing because it prevents you from having to go and manually create your ads in the third-party environment. So we've brought those advertising platforms right into your Shopify admin to simplify the entire process. The user interface is really easy to use. It's simple to set up an ad campaign. You can advertise on Facebook, on Google Shopping, as well as through some email marketing tools. And the best thing about it is that it prevents you from having to manage your store in multiple places, right? The last thing you want as a business owner is to have to go into like 3,000 different tools to try and manage where you're advertising and figure out your inventory in one system, and like you have all of these different systems. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for you to manage your entire business from one environment in the Shopify admin. We also have Kit. Kit is an app that's available in the Shopify App Store that you can add. It's totally free. It's basically an automated marketing assistant. So you can text it with ads that you may want to run, and it'll just communicate with you back and forth through text and create the ads on your behalf. You have a little bit less control with this method, so it's especially good for people who are just exploring advertising and just getting started. But if you are kind of, you've been in the game a while and you want more robust capabilities, you're probably going to want to use either the marketing section or do them manually directly through Facebook. All right, let's talk a little bit about email marketing. The reason I kept this one for last is that email marketing is not only an acquisition strategy, it's a retention strategy as well. It straddles both. The really great thing about email marketing is that you are able to target very particular segments of customers with highly relevant information, and that makes them way more likely to actually complete their purchase and convert. The first thing you need to do, though, with email marketing is actually grow your list. You can't send emails if you don't have anybody to email. So how can we do that? You need to grow your email list through, one thing you can do is through pop-ups. So I'll talk about this in the 4 o'clock session that I'm offering, but exit intent pop-ups, if you are selling in e-commerce, you need to have an exit intent pop-up. It's so powerful. So it basically provides your users with a pop-up when they're showing intent to leave your website. So maybe they're hovering around the top, like little X, the corner, or they're opening a second tab. And you can provide them with a pop-up that asks them for their email address in exchange for something. So maybe you want to offer them a little 10% discount if they complete their purchase on the spot, or something along those lines. So you can get pretty creative with the content that appears on these pop-ups, but it's a really powerful way of ensuring that your customers don't go elsewhere looking for a deal, right? We want to keep them within your environment so that they complete their purchase. Another thing you can do is make sure that you have your email sign-up available on multiple pages throughout your website. So obviously the footer is a common area. Most of you probably have that already set up. But another really good spot is your About Us page, right? Your About Us page is where you're selling the vision for your business. You're talking about your brand values. And so if your customers align with those values, they are really likely to give their email address at that point, because there's this synergy that happens. They know that they're going to get content that resonates with them. Another area that you can consider is your blog. So if you use your blog, like I mentioned, to educate your customers on a certain topic that makes you seem like an expert, you can actually ask them for their email address, almost like an ad, directly from within those blog posts. And again, because they're searching for content that already resonates with them, they're really likely to provide their email address at that point. Okay, so once you actually grow your list and you have emails to send out, you want to send highly targeted, relevant emails using segmentation. So I'm sure most of you know this, but we recently delisted MailChimp. How many of you were using MailChimp with Shopify? How many of you just switched over from MailChimp to someone else? You're still on MailChimp? Okay. Okay, so I will recommend one app in particular that is commonly known to be the best in e-commerce for a variety of reasons, but Klaviyo, Klaviyo, if you're going to look for it on the App Store. It's an incredible tool. It's a little on the pricier side, but your segmentation capabilities within that tool are unparalleled compared to a lot of the other email marketing tools out there. So what you want to do is start to craft highly targeted content to specific sets of customers. So I'll give you an example of this. They're called life cycle emails, but traditionally you could consider sending abandoned cart email campaigns, right? If someone adds a product to cart and then abandons ship, we want to send them an email to remind them that they had something in cart, and hopefully they convert at that point. A welcome email series, also considered a life cycle style email, and it's a really great way of creating a connection with your customers. You want to seem personable, you want your personality to shine through in your emails, and so that's a really great place for you to do that. Even win-back campaigns. So as an example, if you had a customer that was spending a lot of money on your store on a regular basis, they were a repeat buyer, and then they suddenly just fell off the face of the earth and haven't bought from you in like 6 months, you can send them an email saying like, hey, come back, here's a discount code to entice them to come back to your store. So by getting really creative about the way that you segment your customers, you're able to really tap into their interests, which will make them much more likely to actually complete their purchase. All right, so we'll move on to customer retention strategies. Customer retention is basically the collection of activities that a company undertakes to increase their number of repeat purchasers and also increase the amount of revenue that each of those customers spends on the store. So you want to ensure that those customers that you worked so hard to get in the first place actually stick with you for the long term, right? We don't want them to just buy once and then disappear. So the first thing you can do to retain your existing customers, have a loyalty program in place. It is so important. Do any of you already have a loyalty program? Awesome. All right. Loyalty programs, I'm sure most of you are familiar with them. Most airlines have these, or bigger brands will have loyalty programs. Basically, you are rewarding your customers for completing certain actions on your store. And that does not need to be limited to a purchase. You can actually reward customers for signing up for your email newsletter or referring a friend or family member. You can reward them for writing a product review, for example. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can reward your customers. And it encourages them to spend more money on your store and to keep coming back for more, because then they can gain these points and exchange them for a discount towards a purchase. Really great way of increasing your average order value as well, because you can provide a credit towards a future purchase of a certain value or more. So if, for example, your customer reaches 100 points, you would provide them with $10 off a purchase of 100 or more. Okay, that's already enticing them to come back, and it's also enticing them to spend more money. In terms of apps, if you're looking for recommendations through the Shopify store and you are a Shopify merchant, I would recommend checking out Smile, smile.io. You can find that in the Shopify app store. Another one that I'd recommend checking out is called Loyalty Lion. For reviews? Yeah, for reviews, we actually have our own. So Shopify has it's just called Shopify Reviews. Right, you want like a more brand-focused reviews. Have you checked out Yotpo? Yotpo, Y-O-T-P-O. I'm pretty sure that so the question was if you can, if you don't want your reviews, I think I talk about reviews in the other presentation that I'm giving, but reviews are a really great way of getting people to come back as well. You can encourage them to provide a review in exchange for something. If you don't want your reviews on your products and instead you want the reviews on your brand, you can create a separate page and have those reviews populate into that page, but you would need a tool that's a little more robust. So something like Yotpo would probably work. You'd have to contact their customer service team, but it should be possible. Okay. All right, so the next customer retention strategy is email. Re-engaging past purchasers by email. I've kind of already touched on this a little bit, but emails give you the opportunity to continue building your relationship with your customer, and that's really, really valuable. It's critical that every message you send is highly relevant to them and matches their interests, right? One thing you can do, and I've touched on this already, is send out a welcome email. So typically you'd send out your welcome email about a week after your customer has completed their first purchase from you. And you can send this really highly personalized email thanking them for their purchase and asking them what their experience has been, right? You're providing them with an opportunity to provide a review. Maybe you include a link to your review app if you do have one. And it's a really great way to make your brand seem approachable, which is key. One good tactic that I want to mention is people aren't always likely to provide a review unless you give them something in exchange. So I recommend providing a discount code, even if it's something small, like 5% off their purchase, their next purchase. This is great for two reasons. They're likely to give you the product review, which is awesome, but they're also likely to come back and purchase from you again, which means that you just gained a repeat buyer, a loyal customer. There was a question. Yeah. for you, totally. Yeah. So basically those email app solutions fully integrate into your Shopify store and pull the data out and will give you suggestions how to segment those customers and send the email. Yeah. Okay, I just want to quickly show you guys an example of a really well-curated email. This is a company called Beard King. They sell like beard oils and things, but I love their email because it's super on brand for them. So the way that they're speaking to their customers is really highly on brand, matches the look and feel of their website. But I love what they're doing here. They're actually providing a sneak peek and exclusive access to a product launch. This is a really, really great way of nurturing your existing customers and making them feel special. So you guys can totally steal that idea. Don't tell them I said that. But it's a really great way of making your customers want to come back and continue purchasing from you. Okay, subscription billing. How many of you have subscription billing? Anyone? A couple. Awesome. Okay, good. Subscription billing is really awesome for retaining customers for a few reasons. A, it's recurring revenue that you can expect every month. You literally set it up and forget it. It's awesome. The other thing it does is that it encourages your customers to purchase, and then they don't have to remember to come back for more. So this is mostly relevant if you sell something consumable, if you sell something that typically would be purchased more than once. Like if you sell vacuums, this is not going to be the right thing for you. But if you sold like hair care products, for example, maybe a product subscription model is a really great avenue for you to explore because you know that your customers are going to come back for more. And so by setting up subscription billing, you can just let the app do the work for you. You get the monthly revenue. It triggers your shipping and your back end the same way that it would with any regular order. And you're still sending out a product to your customers, and your customers are happy. Typically, what you do is provide a small discount if they subscribe. So as an example, if they do the subscription model, they would get like 5% off the total every month or something like that. But it's a really great way to ensure your recurring revenue. In terms of apps, if you're looking for ideas, Bold has a really good one. I think it's just called subscription billing. But basically, they all work the exact same way. So if you search for subscription billing in the Shopify App Store, you'll find, I think there's 3 different options. One thing that I want to mention, though, as you're looking at your options is to make sure that the app integrates with your payment provider. So if you're on Shopify Payments, the Bold app will work. Some of the others don't integrate well. They don't play nice with Shopify Payments. If you're on a third-party payment gateway, if you're on Authorize.net or Stripe or whatever, you'll just want to make sure that you check that out when you're investigating these different apps. Okay, so the next one is offering a credit or discount to return. So generally, I would tell you to be cautious about discounts. When you discount your products, you're ultimately telling your customers to expect dropping prices, which can sometimes result in a loss of revenue for your store. We don't want that, right? But sending a discount to a first-time buyer to encourage them to come back is a really great way of getting a repeat buyer, right? Even if it's just a small discount, you're encouraging your customers to come back and purchase again. You may also want to experiment with offering credits for a future purchase. So as I was mentioning, credits towards a future purchase of X value or more are a really great way of increasing your average order value. So typically what I recommend is you have a look at your average order value, say it's $40. You would ask your customers or provide a credit to a purchase of $50 or more. Okay, it's slightly more than your average order value, and what you'll find is that your customers, your repeat customers who are taking advantage of that deal are going to hike up your average order value over time. All right, and the last one I want to talk about is customer service. So this may seem obvious for some of you, especially those who have a brick and mortar store. You know that when you go into a brick and mortar store, you go into a retail shop, you are expecting good customer service. If you're not greeted at the door when you walk in, you're not guided through the experience, you're not offered help, you're probably going to walk out the door, right? So how do we recreate that same experience in the online store? We need to think about that. So one thing you can do is have live chat enabled in your online store. And I know, like, I get this question all the time, but I'm not available 24/7. How do I do live chat? I don't want to be answering questions all day long. You don't have to. So most live chat apps that integrate into Shopify allow you to specify when you're online. So you could set up live chat between 9 a.m. and noon, as an example, and then leave it the rest of the time. And as a user, if I come to your site outside of those hours and I click on the little live chat button, I'll just be presented a message that says, like, we're not available right now, but please contact us through email or whatever other means, right? But it's another avenue for your customers to reach you if they need help. Those people who are on the fence about buying from you and are just stalled because they have a question, those are the people you can reach through live chat. It's the same thing as walking up to them in a retail store and offering assistance or asking them if they need help with a certain thing, right? Asking them if they need a different size. You are there to encourage your customers to actually complete their purchase. Another thing that's important is resolving customer complaints. So again, this may seem obvious, but make sure that you are resolving customer issues as quickly as you can. I'll talk about this in a little bit more detail during the 4 o'clock session, so I don't want to talk too much about it right now, but just important to keep in mind, you want to turn those negative experiences into positive experiences through the power of customer service. Okay, I feel like that was like so much information, but we do have, I hope we have time for questions. I don't know what time I have to go until, but okay. Yeah. Yep. Send by email? What? Yeah, you could send it by email. But is there a pop-up where I can do it directly on the site? That would allow you to do a digital download? Yeah. Maybe. Would it subscribe and get this, but like it downloads right away instead of sending it to them by email? Yeah, I'm not sure if there are any apps that allow you to do it instantly. You can do whatever you want with those emails. So you can craft your exit intent pop-ups in whatever way you want and then email them. But for it to like actually download on the spot, I'm not sure if there are any apps. But we can look at it together if you let me pull up my laptop after. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. You have to cancel the order altogether. Yeah. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Okay. It's coming. Yeah, we are going to be providing exchange. So the question was about exchange functionality. Currently within Shopify, you would need to refund the original order and then create a new order for them and then send that out. We are going to be creating edit order functionality that would allow you to edit the existing order and then exchange within that original order. So, yeah. 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 Yeah, so the question was around Shopify for wholesale. There are two options when it comes to selling wholesale on Shopify. We don't really have wholesale capabilities built into the native platform. So it does require either you upgrade to Shopify Plus, which is our enterprise solution, at $2,000 a month. It's unaffordable for most people. Or you use a third-party app to accomplish your needs. And so some of the apps, one of them is called Wholesale Hero. If you want to check that one out, it's quite good. Basically, these apps allow you to create a login area to your website where your wholesalers can access special pricing. You can tag your wholesalers with whatever you want. So say you have like certain wholesalers that get charged one price and then different wholesalers see a different price. You can do that from within that environment. You can also set up tiered pricing. So like if say like between 1 and 50 quantity is X price, and then 50 to 100 is a different price. So all of that functionality is built into an app, but you would need to add on a third-party app to do that. We don't have it natively built into Shopify unless you're a Plus customer. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. This, the unfulfilled issue comes up quite often, to be honest with you. And so I didn't mention this, but I used to work at Shopify Plus with some of the biggest brands on our platform. So I understand the pain, because I had, customers who were doing this on like a massive scale, and then would have like thousands and thousands of unfulfilled orders in their admin. It's a pain in the butt. You can actually update the status through an API call. So without getting too technical about it, you would need a developer to do this, but you can update the status. Basically, your fulfilled, unfulfilled are just statuses. You can actually change them by sending a piece of code into the Shopify API and updating it, but it would cost you money. The edit order functionality is going to change all of that for most of you. So being able to, I'm not allowed to say, I'm not allowed to tell when we're releasing things, but it's coming soon. But yeah, it should help resolve a lot of that. So rather than refunding the entire order, you'll be able to just like edit part of the order that was the issue, send them out the new thing, and it'll help resolve some of this weirdness with the unfulfilled status. Yeah. Yes. That you're not, yeah. Um, To be honest with you, I'm not at all on the technical support side of things, so I wouldn't be able to help you trouble that on the spot. But if anybody has any suggestions or have experienced a similar issue,
Hi. I have a question about sales tax now that the thresholds have changed. I think if you do over 100 sales or over $100,000 in sales, you have to file for sales tax. So do you guys collect it, and is there an app that I can connect with you?
yeah, so the recommendation for sales tax in general for charging taxes and managing your taxes and your returns would be Avalara, Avalara. I'm going to forewarn you, it's pricey. It's expensive. But it kind of automates some of the process for you and eliminates the need for you to spend money with an accountant. So it's kind of like, it's one of these like, you spend the money on an app or you spend the money on a sales account or a tax accountant, and it doesn't file for you, but it keeps track of everything and prepares. Yeah, exactly. Okay, no good? No more?
No.
Oh, okay,
You
can I
wanna
keep
take one
going?
more question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
What time is it?
It's 3:15.
15? 1-5 or 5-0? Oh, okay.
It's 3:15 coffee
Okay.
break time.
Is the room open until my talk? Or is there something else going on in here before my talk? Oh, okay.
Who has one more question? Malky?
More, Christian, choose someone.
Okay, we're going to take Malky's question. You're getting the microphone, Malky.
Hi, so my question is regarding affiliates.
Sorry,
So
what?
my question is regarding affiliates.
Affiliates, yep.
So in my case, I know that there is affiliate functionality, but let's say I have other people selling on my site that I'm paying them a commission, but on top of that, I'm also having affiliates promoting these products.
Yes.
So I'm trying to figure this out. I've seen something, but it's not like a perfect situation.
Yeah,
What would you recommend?
This problem is faced by a lot of people who also sell on Amazon. The issue of having your products being sold by either affiliates or Amazon or wherever, where there's a cheaper price potentially somewhere else, and it's kind of taking away from part of your sales on your Shopify store. Are these affiliates, just to be sure I understand the question, like affiliates that selling on your behalf? Okay. Right. 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 And you're losing off of your net profit. Yeah. Can we chat separately from this? Because I will pull up the App Store and we can look at it together. Because yeah. Good. I could keep doing this all day. I mean, like. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I sell luxury items, so it's a high ticket item over $1,000 each. What would you recommend in terms of like the marketing strategy, selling on a website for this kind of products? Because a lot of things you gave are really great options for things that sell really fast, like don't really think, sell a quick product, but for high-end tickets.
Email marketing is going to be your best friend, especially for those higher ticket items, because it takes, like I was saying with the consideration stage, it's going to take them a lot longer to actually convert because it's so expensive, right? They need to think about setting the money aside and saving up. So email marketing is going to be the best tool for you because you can use the right messaging to help slowly guide them down and down and down with the way that you write your copy in your emails. And that's going to be the best way for you to convert them at a cheaper cost, right? You can spend a lot of money on paid ads to target people who are likely to spend that amount of money, but it's going to cost a ton of money, right? Email marketing. Use something like Klaviyo and then just slowly guide them down the funnel. Klaviyo. Klavio.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Samantha. Samantha's coming back. She's going to be giving a class after the collaboratory on how to